Hello and welcome to the fifth, I believe, fifth episode of the Red Laugh Riot podcast. My name is Matt.
And my name is Ben.
Hey, smooth intro. Amazing. I think that's our smoothest intro, Ben.
So smooth. It must be.
I'm pretty sure.
But then we ruin it by commenting on how
No,
smooth
no,
the
no,
intro
no, no,
was.
no, no, no.
So how smooth
It's
was
all good. It's all good. All right. Let's
Alright.
just get straight into it, shall we? Ben, do you want to do the honors of introducing our first segment?
Yeah, so our first segment is called Reading the Headlines. And this is where we go to the top of Reddit and we read some headlines and we talk about them. The first headline, which is a picture, but it's Kansas City Fire Department rescues Kansas City Police Department from a stuck elevator. And there's a photo of them, the police guys in the elevator, and the fireman just taking like a selfie and showing it. It's kind of hard to see without picture. See, if you're watching live, you should play along at home. Go to Reddit, sort by top from this week, and you can see the same headlines I'm looking at, so you can actually look at this photo. Anyway, that's funny. What do you have to say on that, Matt? Ironic.
It's a pretty cool story, eh? Like it's a pretty funny story. I think, to be honest, it would be more ironic,
Yeah.
right? If there was, imagine if it was like two fire departments, right? And like it was another
Yeah.
fire department got stuck, or like, you know what I mean? Like the one fire station had to go to another fire station to like rescue them from a fire. Imagine that. That'd be like the ultimate case of irony, wouldn't it?
Or what if it was an elevator repairman stuck in an elevator?
Yeah, that would also be quite
That'd be
ironic.
good.
Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up the whole two fire department situation because it makes me think of I can't remember what it must have been last year or 2 years ago. It feels like ages ago now. When there were some fires in Christchurch where I used to live, up on the Port Hills, and there were like two different fire departments, one like Christchurch based and one Littleton based, which is Littleton is like a little harbour town which is just over the hill basically. It's still part of Christchurch, it's just like over the hill. And I think there were these two different fire departments. And like there was just terrible, stupid communication and one fire department went to go to put out some fires and they got turned away by the council saying, nah, it's not your job to do this, this is the other fire department's job. But then the other fire department, I think, arrived late or wasn't aware of the situation or something happened. I can't remember. And long story short, the fire burned for a lot longer because there was this stupid, I don't know if it was political or some sort of terrible communication anyway, telling one fire department to go away from the fire, which is just doesn't make any sense. Why did that happen? I don't know. And that angers me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just a case of bureaucracy, eh? And like sort of the stupidity of it sometimes of how
Mm,
of how stupid it can be. Because it's like, yo, there was a fire department right there who would have been
yeah.
able to hopefully stop the fire, or at least start the process earlier. Therefore, saving, you know, saving some houses and therefore saving like money, and the property damage would have been like greatly, reduced.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about firefighting, but I do know that the quicker you respond to a fire, usually the the smaller the fire gets before it, burns through everything. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of just simple logic.
yeah.
I can't think of a single instance in when getting to a fire early would not help.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
Obviously, the earlier you get there, the better. It's the same with any kind of emergency. Unless you're not surveying the situation or something, you put yourself in danger. I'm sure they're very well trained and they're not going to do
Yeah.
that. Here's a cool one. This is another. It's another picture, but it's really cool. So I'll read it. This is a guy in a movie theater standing next to a poster of a movie by the name of Thunder Road, and he's pointing to it. And the caption is "Proud moment for me. My movie comes out in theaters today. I spent every day since I was 12 waiting for today. Thank you, Alamo Drafthouse Cinemas, for taking a chance on me." So, yeah, this is just a real cool, inspirational little photo of a guy who made a film, and it's obviously debuting in some small theater somewhere. You can see the Venom poster above it, so yeah, it's a real theater. Damn, how cool would it be to make a film and put it in a theater? Like, it seems like such a thing that it seems like a thing that's just so far off. But this guy's, like he said, it's been his dream since he was 12.
Yeah.
So. Do you reckon you could do that one day, Matt? Do you reckon you'll be on a big screen one day?
I sure hope so, and I sure hope so that it'll be with Red Laugh Riot and this company that we're trying to start up will be involved in it.
That would be a dream for sure.
That is sort of the
that's the big leagues.
It's sort of the big dream of this production company is to be able to make all kinds of content and content that we personally like and different types of content, whether that be comedic or dramatic or otherwise. Obviously with our name Red Laugh Riot, we'll probably be most focused on comedic content. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we will only do comedic content. But nah, like I really do hope one day we'll be able to get our own stuff into cinemas. And I'm really excited about this company because it is a company that I dreamt up before I met you and Tash as well. But yeah, it was an idea I had for a long time, and it's really cool now that we're starting this up. And I'm very excited to see where it leads us, and hopefully it does lead us to having our own picture of our own movie poster in the background that's in cinemas like that guy on Reddit.
And now for some actual news. This last headline from World News. Turkey has audio and video evidence showing that Saudi agents tortured and killed journalist Jamal, I'm going to say this name wrong, Khashoggi, inside the Saudi consulate in Turkey. Do you know anything about this one?
I know nothing. What I do know...
Cool. Moving on.
What I do know is torture's bad. Don't torture people. That's it.
Yeah. Can't disagree with that.
I don't think people should be tortured, even if they did terrible things. Yeah. That's sort of where I stand on that issue. But yeah, more typical, more controversy in this ever more, at times divided world that we live in. Yeah, it's pretty full on times.
Here we go. I fished through the comments to find any explanation. There's one guy explains it, but it's quite long, so I probably won't bother reading. I'm sure you can look it up if you're interested and find out why this is all happening.
All right.
It's hard to think about, when you get this kind of crazy world news in comparison to what were they talking about before? The movies and the police department.
Yeah.
You know how all these little everyday little situations give you this little much hope and joy, and then this other headline just goes smash. No, your world's not that cool. There's lots of bad stuff still happening. Doesn't matter how many people get rescued from elevators. There's still terrorism and war and all this. Yeah, it's a bit sad, I guess, to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's sort of the beauty of the internet and like Reddit and stuff is that these stories are all like, sort of grouped together on that front page. Um, and that you can, look at one article that's like, hey, look at this funny, you know, funny cat video or something. And then you scroll down a little further and it's like, oh, terrorists bombed somewhere in the Middle East and 250 people died. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. It's a strange thing, the internet. Very, very strange thing.
All right then.
Indeed.
On that sour note, I guess it's time to move on to our next segment.
All right. Our next segment is called Top 5. It's inspired by a little film that they called High Fidelity, where they make their own like top 5 lists throughout the film, which is pretty cool. Obviously top 5 lists are, pretty common. But anyway, we're gonna do it as well. Today's topic is top 5 video games. Who's going first, Ben? Who's going first?
Nice way to just throw me under the bus there. Make me go first. Great. Yeah, I found this one. This one was interesting because like I don't, at least currently I'm not like into video games as much as I have been in the past.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know, like I'm not like, I don't know, I kind of said this last week about the music thing. Like I'm not as passionate about it, so I can't talk about it as long. But I probably will end up talking about it anyway. My list in terms of my honorable mentions as well, the games I thought about was actually a lot longer than I originally thought because I just remembered all these games I used to play. So most ones on my list are actually kind of old. And speaking of old, the first one on my list, my number 5. Oh, and actually, I'll preface by saying, it's not like a hard top 5. It's like these are in order as I thought of them this week. But like, it's not like with movies where like a movie like speaks to me emotionally and that affects me emotionally. That's why it's my favorite movie. But these games are just like, I think they're the best games I've played, or the most fun games I've had. The most fun I've had playing video games. Anyway, that was a long spiel. Yeah, so my 5th favorite video game of all time is Super Mario Bros. 3. It's probably a game that not many people listening have actually played. Came out in, I want to say 1990 on the Super Nintendo, or maybe it was even on the Nintendo, the original Nintendo Entertainment System, and they remastered it. They remastered all the games for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, so I had a Super Nintendo at home, and we still have it in Christchurch, which has the first 4 Mario games on it, and those are the games that I literally grew up on. That's kind of all we had, at least for the first 10 years of my life, anyway, or so. It was on this like tiny TV that would have been like, I don't know, 10 inches or whatever, and like, I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. I played those games a lot, and I didn't even like beat the games until I was replaying them probably when I was like 14 or something like that. And for sure, Super Mario Bros. 3 is, I think, the best one. It's the most fun to play and interesting because there's like a whole world map and everything, which the previous 3 games didn't have. And yes, there were 3 games before Super Mario Bros. 3 because Super Mario Bros. 2 was too hard for the US population, so they renamed it the Lost Levels. And then Super Mario Bros. 2 was actually a reskin of another game called Doki Doki Panic. Anyway, that's why Super Mario Bros. 3 is actually the 4th Super Mario Bros. Game. Those other games are also really fun. Actually, the Doki Doki Panic one is like, it's like got different mechanics and stuff, but I also really, really enjoy that one. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Super Mario Bros. 3. Yeah, I just reckon it's the best one that I've played. I actually, since playing those old games, which were the only ones we had, the next Mario game I played was Super Mario Bros. On DS, the new the first game that was called New Super Mario Bros. And that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that game.
Mm.
But it's so much easier. Like the modern Mario games, as far as I can tell, are way easier to beat than the old ones. Like, because I spent a long time playing those old games, trying to beat them, and I beat them all, and I was very happy with that. But because our console was so fragile, if you yanked the cable too hard on the controller, it would erase the data, and so my save games are gone. And so I tried to tell my brothers like I beat the game, and then we went on, and my save game was gone, so I couldn't prove it to them. That was really annoying. But I mean, I know what I did. I know I beat Bowser, you know, so I'm happy enough with that. Yeah. Look, I said before I wasn't going to talk long about this, but I've ended up talking for ages.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So my top five list also comes with for lack of a better word, a disclaimer. Um, I've sort of judged my list on basically like for me, I'm not much of a gamer. I play very rarely. The major thing with me in video games was I saw it more as a thing of to do with mates. Friends of mine would come over and would play video games, but would play it together and would play it. Like we wouldn't even play online. It'd be on local, split screen. So that's sort of what I
Yeah.
associate video games with, is with playing with friends. And so that's sort of where the list comes into play. Is sort of what games do I associate with playing with my mates, and what games do I personally like, and yeah, sort of that's sort of what I've tried to judge the games on. Um, all right. So my number five pick is a game called, well, is I think it was actually the official game. It was called Rugby World Cup 2011. So it was a rugby game. You play rugby. You could play as the All Blacks or any other country that participated in the 2011 Rugby World Cup. Um, and so yeah, I would really enjoy this game. I was good at this game. It's very rare that I'm good at a game. So a lot of the time I would end up beating my friends, which was a fun time. Except for one of my mates. One of my mates always bit me every single time. It was very annoying. And I don't know how he did it to this day. One thing that was weird about this game is the fact that it it might have not actually been official because it didn't have any like of the actual players like names in it.
Oh,
So it was
okay.
all made up.
Like real life
Yeah, it
players.
was all like made up names. Which I
Really?
remember when I like first got it, I was like, oh, what? That's lame. I wanted to like be the actual players, like Dan Carter and stuff like that. Um, yeah.
Mm.
So that's my number five pick was Rugby World Cup 2011. It was a good game, and I really liked it.
Cool. My number four pick is Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle Earth. Um, and this game is basically like Age of Empires. It's a real time strategy, and it's based in the Lord of the Rings game and the world. I guess. Yeah. It's like there are two of them, and then there was an expansion for the second one. I never got the expansion, but yeah, the first two games that I both played both of them. The it's just really great. Like I just love. I guess I love strategy. I'm just that kind of mind. I'm a strategic kind of person. I like that, and that's what got me interested in the games. I guess when my brother got them, years ago. These are really old games, by the way, like old PC
Oh
games.
wow.
When I say really old, it's like 2005 ish, around that kind of time when they would have come out. What can I say about it? I don't know. I think it's weird that I'm not. I don't know. I wasn't really interested in Age of Empires because I don't know if I'd heard of it or not. Maybe I had, or maybe I hadn't. But like even after playing Battle for Middle Earth, I wasn't really interested in going to play Age of Empires. And I think for me, it's because I love Lord of the Rings so much that I wanted to play a game that was in that world. You know.
Right.
I had some sort of interest in it. Yeah, before going in. And the campaign's really, really great because the campaign, at least in the first game, is really, really good. Because you go across the whole world map, and it basically follows the movie. How you have different armies, and your fellowship splits up and all that, and you can play as both good and evil, do separate campaigns. And you can the cool thing is that you build your army, and that army carries over into the next. It physically your army moves into the next map and does the next mission, and you kind of build yourself up that way. I mean, I think there's a limit on how many you can have in your army that moves forward to the next level, but like it's still cool that you choose because you split up armies and you have different heroes. I guess you can use, and you choose which army goes to which map to do what battle. So I really like that part of it, and it's way better in that sense than the second game, because in the second game it's just like you do this mission and then you go to the next mission and then you go to the next mission and then you go to the next mission. It's just one after the other. You don't have any choice or any fluidity, and it's just not nearly as interesting. And the campaign's also a lot shorter, I think, in the second game. The only thing that the second game has over the first game is that you can position your buildings wherever you want instead of just at certain like foundation points. And you can also there's also more armies you can use, such as goblins and dwarves. You can play as well. In the second game, the first game's just limited to men. Sorry, Rohan, Gondor, Isengard, and Mordor, which are the 5 kind of nations in the world in the movies as well. So yeah, I spent so many hours playing this game, and what sucks is that I never used to be able to play games online. So when there were servers available for this game, I never played online. And now that I actually have the ability at home to play games online, there are no servers for it. At least there may be some fan servers available, but I've never tried because I haven't played it in a while, I guess. But I spent so much time playing this on my own, just playing against AI, and I still really, really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Now, we've reached my number 4 pick. And this is a pick I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for, but it's a game I like, okay? I like this game. And I don't care what anyone else thinks. That game is Minecraft, alright? I like Minecraft, alright?
Oh
Sue
damn,
me,
damn.
alright? Sue me. I like the game, alright? To be honest, I didn't really play the survival aspect of it. I would mostly play the creative aspect. The
No,
creative mode
really.
rather. Because I just enjoyed building stuff. I was like, this is dope. I get to build stuff. Like, how cool is that? So like, I would build like giant like stadiums, and I built little like mini games for me and my mates to play. Which was always a lot
Yeah,
of fun. So that's sort of why I liked Minecraft and why it hits. It gets into my top 5. Is because of that. That aspect, the
yeah.
combination of the creative
That's
aspect
interesting.
as well as the fact that I played it with my mates.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we've done it again. Minecraft is my number 3 pick.
Oh wow, 2 weeks in a row, mate.
Oh well, so yeah, this game I feel like recently in the last couple of years has really dropped for me because it got bought out by
Mm.
Microsoft, didn't it? Yeah, and I think they've after that point maybe they've just added too much. They've added a lot of stuff, like I don't even know what's in there anymore. But there's just like it's so overly complicated now, like that I feel like playing the game um, for me it's kind of not as fun as it used to be because I used to love I'm the opposite. I love the survival more than I love the creative. I do love the creative as well, but I love both. But I played it more for the survival, and also playing on a server with some friends as well. It's a really great time, um, and I feel like it loses that raw kind of survival type feeling when you introduce all this other stuff that kind of for me breaks the game and makes it feel less survivally and more we're just gonna do whatever the hell was possible. I don't know. It's like it's hard to describe, but yeah, I feel like it's just dropped for me, and that's why I don't play it anymore. Really, I can't really go back to it because unless I was gonna just start another server with some friends, um, even then, because basically even then I would just kind of be repeating the same stuff I've done in the past because I can't tell you how many countless hours I've spent just in a mine digging. Like it's a lot of fun, but I've done it a lot already. I feel like I don't need to go back and do that again. Um, in terms of creative stuff, I don't know. I guess I just don't have as much passion for it. But the most fun stuff I've done on a creative server has been basically building ideas that I wanted to implement on our survival server. We started a server with some friends last year, and that's what got me back into it. And that was a lot of fun just playing with some friends. That was probably the first time because we got a Minecraft Realms server, which is that thing you like. I think we got a free trial at first, and then you pay like $5 or something, and you have a server to yourselves, which I think is way more fun than finding some random server online. Because none of the servers I tried online really fit what I wanted. There was one I used to play on called YetiCraft, which was quite good, but then that shut down. So I never really tried another survival server after that. Um, anyway, so we had this realm, and I had this idea to make this farming, well, this machine that automatically bakes potatoes. Like it grows potatoes on the farm, harvests them, and then bakes them automatically. And I wanted to put it on our realm, so I went into creative and built that, and I spent ages doing it, and that was really really fun. But then soon after, we all went to the end in the realm, and then we just kind of stopped playing after that. After we killed the dragon and everything, that was it. We never went back after that. Um, yeah, Minecraft for me is kind of short stinted. It's always been like I play it like non-stop for a small amount of time, like a few weeks maybe, and then I stop completely. Actually, I'm kind of like that with a lot of things in terms of games
Yeah.
and Netflix shows and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I've done that. I'd say that was my at least fourth stint on Minecraft, I guess. Yeah. But that was really the first time I was properly playing with friends and on that kind of community server, which was really fun.
Alrighty. So that my turn for my number three. Um, so my number three pick is Call of Duty. Um, I like Call of Duty. I mean, I know it's like, pretty like basic get. You know what I mean? Like you think of like, like
Yeah.
popular video games. COD's probably one of the first ones you mention. Um,
Well, do you have a specific favorite?
Um, it's probably Black Ops 2 because that was the one that I played with my mates. Um,
Okay.
yeah, um, another full disclosure when it comes to video games with me, I'm not good at video games, alright? I'm very bad at video games. Um, yeah, that just needed to be said. But no, but with Call of Duty, more specifically with Black Ops 2, it was a game that me and my mates would play together, which was always a lot of fun. Just hanging out with your mates and playing video games, which I really think is what video games is about, is playing it with your mates. So I think we mostly ended up playing just normal multiplayer on like your average maps. Like I think we played on Nuketown the most from memory. Um,
It's a pretty popular map,
yeah,
yeah.
which again, very typical map. Yeah, so we would sometimes play, your normal free falls, or sometimes we'd also play um Gun Game was one that we played a lot. Also, I think it was called Sharpshooter. We've had like a crossbow, ballistic knife or something like that. I can't really remember. I haven't played in a while. So yeah, we'd play that game together. We'd also occasionally play zombies. Again, I wasn't good at any mode that we really played. I wasn't good at. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It was just something that whenever I think of that game, I think of playing it with my mates. And that's dope.
Yeah, I've also played. I played that game a lot with friends. It's the like I never had it myself because I don't have a console.
Right.
Oh no, you can get it on PC as well anyway. But I never bought it or anything. I just remember playing it a few times. But yeah, it is one of those games where like basically anyone can play, and you just play it with a group of friends. It's kind of like Mario Kart or something. It's one of those games anyone can join in on basically
Yeah.
and enjoy. I
Yeah.
think so. It's really good for that. I
Mm.
think. And my number two has two in the name. That's not really relevant, but it's Need for Speed Underground 2.
Okay.
Again, another oldie. Most of my favorite games are old ones because these are the games that I grew up playing or that I used to play on PC like ages ago. Because I don't have time for games anymore these days. So yeah, Underground 2. I don't think many people would disagree if they've played the games that it's one of the best games they've ever played. Um, it's just like Underground 1 was amazing already, and then Underground 2 is basically the same story. Well, not the same story, but like a continuation of that story, except you get an open world map as well, and you can upgrade your cars and go into different shops and everything. It's so much fun. It's just a dream. Like it's like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just really fun. You personalize your car however you want. You spend all this money on it or whatever, and you win the races. Obviously, it's just all round the most fun game. I think in terms of the variety of what it offers in the experience and how I don't want to say addictive, but certainly like the game that you can go back to and continually enjoy. Like even though you're just racing, right? You'd think that might get boring, but actually it doesn't because it does progress and you get like brand deals and all this kind of stuff that you work towards. Magazine covers, shooting magazine covers is always one of my favorite things to do in that game. It's kind of awkward because you drive around like however you want to, um, but the camera angle is like pointed on this awkward angle at the car, and you can't change that and then take the photo. So you have to drive with this awkward angle and get to the position you want. Sometimes I would drive for miles just to get like the perfect photo for this magazine cover or DVD cover or something. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, there's more to that game than you might think just by looking at it. That's just a lot of fun. Original Underground is also really fun, and the sequel, Most Wanted, not the most recent Most Wanted, but the old Most Wanted from 2005. I think it's 2005, around then. That is also very decent. Probably the second best game, the second best Need for Speed game. Yeah, it was almost on my list, but like it's also just you have so much fun. You can spend just so much time on that game, and especially in Most Wanted. Um, there's less like upgradability and stuff. It's still there, but it's less focused on that, and there's a lot of like the car chase police stuff, which is just really really fun. Anyway, I shouldn't talk too much about that game because that's not what I'm talking about. Underground 2. If you haven't played it, find a copy somewhere, download it. Hopefully, it still works on modern PCs. I'm pretty sure it still works on my one. I haven't tried it recently though. Yeah, all around good times.
So my number two pick is FIFA. Um, and if I had to pick a specific FIFA, it'd probably be FIFA 13, I would say. 'Cause that's the one that I sort of played for the longest time. I very much like sports games. And so FIFA was a game that I would play. Um, and I would either be, yeah, I'd play it with my mates. Um, Again, probably one of the games I'm better at, as opposed to like COD or something like that, which I'm absolutely useless.
I sort of played FIFA a couple times with people like friends who had it. I can't say I ever enjoyed it. Maybe it's because I don't enjoy football.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that all you had to say on it?
Um, yeah, I just wanted to add the fact that yeah, I think one of the reasons why I also like it is I do like football. Um, so there's that
Right.
aspect. If you understand football, you're probably better at it than someone who doesn't understand football. Um, so yeah, no, it's just a really good
That would
game.
make
I like
sense.
sports games. Um, Occasionally I'd win against my mates. And it was always cool sort of playing the clutch, moments where it's, you're leading 1-0. There's like a fake minute left in the game, and your friend's trying to score on you, and you're just you just panic, like, kick it out of the stadium. Um, yeah,
Oh, really?
always a good time.
When you say a fake minute, is it actually one real minute, or is it not actually
No,
one
it's
real
not.
minute in real
It's
time?
it's not one real minute because a real football game is 40 minutes each way. So playing
Oh, okay.
45 minutes each way would would be terrible. So it
Yeah.
usually ends up getting because you can set how long the game is. So we'd usually set it for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes a half. Most of the time it'd be 5 minutes.
Right.
Real time. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I like I was saying, I didn't really enjoy. any FIFA games when I played. Um, um, in general, sports games I found hard to play because uh, maybe it's because I didn't know the rules. I think that might be a reason, and I thought the rules were too strict because weirdly, one of my honorable mentions is NBA Live 2003.
Oh, okay.
And I love this game, but every other NBA game I've ever played, like the more modern ones that friends had, um, me with the 2003 game and friends with the 2012-13 games, yeah, I never enjoyed playing them because they always had all the rules. Like there's all these rules, like, and even in basketball, like I used to play basketball, I didn't know about these rules. Where like basically half the time you're just pausing because you did something wrong. It's also a reason I don't like watching sports because, especially like rugby, like you just the game stops so often because of these little rules that I don't understand, and so it's just really annoying. So I loved NBA 2003 because you could turn all those things off and you could just like blaze down the court and you just go for those dunks or whatever. And I found that game really fun, and I enjoy like the time pressure and all that. I don't know why. I always enjoy that way more than having all these like different fouls and stuff. Like who cares? I mean, no, like it's kind of it ruined the fun for me when you made it too realistic.
Okay. Yeah.
And also the fun thing about that game, I don't know if you can do it on the modern games, but you could make your own character.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I always I invested so much in these characters. Like I felt like I was these characters, or I was their coach or something. And like, I just felt like I owned that team, and I was real proud of it. And because you could have Michael Jordan, like the in his prime Michael Jordan, back in that game. Good old Chicago Bulls. It was funny because when I used to play that game, I guess like around 2009, maybe when I actually played basketball at school. I was like, yeah, Chicago Bulls are the best, but it's because they were the best in 2003 that I believed that. But in that current day in 2009, they weren't the best because they didn't have Michael Jordan anymore. Because he went off to play. What did he do? Baseball, and then he retired, I guess. And so I bought a Chicago Bulls basketball, and it was like, why do you like the Bulls? I'm like, because they got Michael Jordan. Yeah, but anyway, that's. Did I just talk? I just talked for way too long about one of my honorable mentions. Let's quickly fire through the other ones. I talked about Need for Speed Underground. Oh yeah, another Lord of the Rings one. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is another really fun one. It's a third-person one that's just a really great game. And even the Fellowship of the Ring game. I never played the second one, but the Fellowship of the Ring game, which actually was purely based on the books, came out like the year that the movie came out, but wasn't based on the movie. That was also really fun. Similar style to Return of the King, but Return of the King, really fun. But also there was this level that I could never beat, and so eventually I gave up. Anyway, and still on Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. If you haven't played that game, it's easily one of the best games. It's probably my number 6 or 7. If I was going to have that. Am I talking for too long? I am. Oh well, I'm going to keep talking because I love this game so much. This is basically kind of like Assassin's Creed, but in Middle-earth.
Okay.
And even though I had played a little bit of Assassin's Creed before, I was never interested in it as much. Same kind of reason as wasn't interested in Age of Empires, but I was interested in this because it's in Middle-earth based in a world that I enjoy, and so that made it more fun for me. But also, Shadow of Mordor has this whole revenge mechanic where you can kill a captain and then they want revenge on you, or it's the other way around. No, you get killed and then you get revenge. Anyway, there has this whole nemesis system, which is so much fun. And you just get addicted, and you could not play the storyline at all and play that game for just days on end. That is just so much fun. I never played the sequel, which came out last year, but maybe one day I will. Overwatch, Mario Kart DS, I mentioned. Bloons Tower Defense, those are great games. Some classics that I grew up with. One called DX Ball, which is just a brick baker game. But that was on our old Windows 98 computer.
Oh, wow.
Classic fun. And an indie game called Lero Extreme, which is you're just like a little worm and you shoot. It's not really like Worms because it's not turn-based, but it's like if Worms was not turn-based, like it was like real time. It's basically what that is. but it's like a real old PC game. Shout out to some iOS games, because why not? Zombie Highway, Plague Inc., and Jet Car Stunts, probably my favorite iOS games. Um, and also shout out to Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2, and Crash Team Racing on the original PlayStation, which were also lots of fun. And that is my honorable mentions.
All right. I limited myself to five
I knew you
five
would.
honorable
I never do
mentions.
though.
So my first honorable mention is Rugby '08. It's probably the first game that so again, another rugby game. This game, unlike Rugby World Cup 2011, actually had the proper players that were playing back then. So that was cool. So I was like, hey, I'm Dan Carter and stuff. Which was dope. So I played that. It was probably one of the first games that I actually like got myself that I played, because before then, I was sharing the PlayStation 2 with my two sisters, and they weren't really gamers, but we didn't even have any like proper games. Um, yeah. Next honorable mention is a game called Speedrunners, which I actually only have the demo copy of it, and you only need the demo copy. It's basically like a little
Oh really?
platformery kind of, side scroller game, um, which was pretty cool. I first played it at a friend of mine's house, and I really, really liked it, so I downloaded the demo as soon as I could. Um, my third pick is a game called Until Dawn, which is a game I actually haven't finished yet. Fourth pick is The Sims, mostly Sims 2, because that was the one that I sort of played a lot. Sims 2, great game, love it. Funnest part of that game was always getting a pool, building a pool, and then what I'd do, because Sims allowed you really to play God, right? And to sort of unleash your inner psychopath. So you'd end up just getting Sims, chucking them in the pool, then taking the ladder away, and then making them, and then fast forwarding time until they drowned, and then you'd build like a giant graveyard near the pool. So that's what I ended up doing with that game. And my final honorable mention is a game called Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which I actually only got recently. It's a very old game, but I like playing it because I first saw gameplay of it and thought it looked really fun, so I started playing it myself. I'm not good at it at all, again. But yeah, no, a lot of fun. And those are my honorable mentions.
Awesome. Before I go to number one, I want to meet. I have one more honorable
Ah,
mention that I forgot to mention. I'm so sorry, but I have to mention it because it's so much fun. That's GTA 2.
oh,
Yes, GTA 2, not any of the other. I never played the 3D open world games. I was never interested in those.
okay.
But GTA 2, it's bird's eye view.
All right.
Um, and I find it so much more fun than, well, I guess I never played the other games, but so much more appealing. And I literally played it today, this afternoon, again, because it's like I used to play it a little while ago, back on the old PC, and then I got it installed last year on my Mac, and it's just so much fun. Um, it's hard, yeah, like I said, it's hard to explain how much fun it is. But anyway, number one pick. Um, Actually, if you don't count Minecraft as the only modern game on this list, I guess you have to count it. It's probably actually older than Minecraft now that I think about it. Um, and that's Counter Strike Global Offensive. Um, and yeah, I said before I was going to talk about COD, and that's because I hugely dislike COD. In terms, um, not that I dislike playing it. When I have played COD, I have enjoyed it with friends.
Right.
It's kind of like that game you can play with friends, like I said, but it's not a fun game if you just want to play on your own online. In a sense, I don't know. I guess it depends what you're looking for. But I used to play a little bit of COD with friends, and I enjoyed it. And then I went to Counter Strike, and I enjoyed it so much more. And then I went back to COD, and I was like, this sucks. Counter Strike has so much more realistic physics, I guess, and that it's a lot harder to play. And there's an actual skill required. It's not just point and shoot. It's like you have to be good basically at the game. And I'm not saying I'm good. I'm kind of average. I mean, I think I'm better than my rank deserves. to be called. Uh, yeah, it's one of those games that I want to get better at and keep playing. And obviously, the most fun part for me is the competitive game mode, um, which is the 5v5 bomb defusal, or you can play hostage maps if you want. I don't think anyone plays hostage maps. But basically, the 5v5 bomb defusal game. And there's so much that goes into it, and the calls and the teamwork, the actual legitimate teamwork that goes on is just so much fun. And why I think it's the most fun game I've ever played, especially for an online game. Even when you're queued with total strangers, it's definitely harder. It's harder to have good teamwork with total strangers. But if you do get a good team, it's like one of the most fun experiences ever. Like having a team that is knit well, and gets those good players and all that. It's just so much fun. Yeah, that's all I think I have to say.
All right. So that we've reached my number one pick. My number one pick is GTA 5. GTA 5 is probably the one of the games that I've had the most fun playing. Um, oh, I forgot to mention. So Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was actually the first game that I actually completed, like story mode wise, because I never play story mode of games. Because like I said,
All right.
I'm either playing like FIFA, which doesn't really have a story mode, or other games like it. And then like the only other game that I've actually completed story mode wise, yeah, was so Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, and then GTA 5. So yeah, one of the only games that I've actually completed. Um, Never actually played it online. So then after I completed the game, I actually enjoyed the story mode of it. I thought it was really fun. Um, and then sort of then what GTA is really about though is just mucking around on it. So I had a lot of fun doing that. Um, yeah, just a really good game. Good graphics, good gameplay. And a game I really like that I've actually played. Because there's very few games that I've actually played because I'm not much of a gamer. And there's actually a lot of games that are
Yeah.
currently on my wish list that I want to get.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. There are games like that I just wish I had more time to play games, because like as you can tell from my list, most of my gaming history is in the past, and I currently don't play that many games. Um, but yeah, apart from the odd stint on CS:GO, basically I don't really play anything
mm,
anymore. What do you do too this afternoon? But yeah, again, they're like I bought the 2015 Need for Speed game, and I played it for 5 hours maybe max, and then I didn't get bored of it. I did enjoy it, but I just ran out of time, or would rather have done other things or played other games. Like I think around that time, Overwatch came out as well. Like in like a couple months. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when, but I was playing that game as well. So there were other things. There were other things had preferred to do, but I wish I could go back to that game and play that as well. I just don't feel like I have enough time. Um, it's like I pre-ordered it as well, and I got like the special edition where you get the old BMW that was in the old Most Wanted game, and you get that as your starter car. And like that's like the famous Need for Speed car, basically, um, that everyone loved, and yeah, because that 2015 game was meant to be back to its roots, like back to like being more like Underground 2 or more like Most Wanted. It wasn't very much like, it was more like Underground 2, but with cops. But the cops were really measly and crap. Like there was no fun in the cop chases in that game
right.
that I experienced in my 5 hours of play.
Um, we have
Um,
officially reached our main topic of the podcast.
oh yeah,
Um,
this one.
which is on the topic.
I'll introduce
Oh, do
it.
you want to introduce it,
Shall
Ben?
I? Oh yeah. So yeah, our main topic for today is the ban of single-use plastic bags. Um, and at least in New Zealand, this is currently happening. A few months ago, it wasn't even a few months ago, it was like last month, um, the Prime Minister actually like unveiled this plan to completely phase out single-use plastic bags. And I just want to stop right there before we even get into it. And I guess this is one of my main points, is that quote-unquote single-use plastic bags almost always aren't single-use. They're almost always double, triple use.
Yeah.
Like plastic bags.
That is a good point.
All right. If nothing else, they're used as rubbish bags.
Yeah.
Right? But they're also used as storage for clothing and stuff like that. Like, it's just, I just hate that they're being called single use when 90% of people use them at least twice.
Yeah.
That frustrates me.
That is a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't know why exactly, I don't know exactly what their plan is. But I think, I'm just briefly reading this article right now, but I guess sometime they have some date in the future that they want to get rid of single-use plastic bags. And they've already started. Countdown has already removed them. Last time I went shopping, I was like, oh, whoa, there's no plastic bags. I'm being forced to buy one of these $2 fabric ones. Yeah. And I don't know if you've heard, but there's a YouTube channel that I can't pronounce the name of. It's like Kurzgesagt, or something like that. They do these animation videos. They did a video recently. They do these animation that are like really informative videos on these current day topics, or any topic really, or AKA in a nutshell. So that's their second name, in a nutshell. Anyway, a really great channel, which I don't think I mentioned on our YouTube podcast, but it's a really great one. Anyway, they did a video, and I can't remember the exact details, but they mentioned that, economically speaking at least, buying the, or maybe not buying, but producing those the fabric bags is actually less economically and perhaps even environmentally efficient than using quote-unquote single-use plastic bags. Because the real, like, I just hate this whole, it's one of these things that's just like this trending topic, like, that people were like, you gotta stop using plastic, blah, blah, blah. And I guess it's good that finally people care, but I don't think they're doing enough research and really realizing what's going to make the most difference. I'm not saying this might not make a difference. Maybe it will. But I don't think it's going to have the difference that matters. Because most people, at least, throw away their rubbish properly and it goes to the landfill. And sure, the less landfill rubbish there is, the better. But now what are we going to store it in? I mean, we need to put them in... what are we going to use for our rubbish bags now? Do we have to buy separate rubbish bags that aren't made of plastic, maybe disposable ones? I don't know how it's going to work. But I feel like it's something that was just like, the decision was made just because popular demand wanted it to happen, because people were like, you got to stop using plastic, so then they stopped using plastic. It's the same as plastic straws. Like, I saw this photo, like this really ironic photo, like, of like, quote unquote environmentally friendly straws that were, I don't know, made of paper or something, but they were in plastic wrap. And then there's like all these, and there's another, like, I think another place that does, there's another place actually that had like a sign saying, we don't use plastic straws. They didn't have any straws, but then they had all this plastic cutlery. So
yeah,
it's like, it's something that people don't think about it. Like, they don't think about what they're actually doing. They just do it because it's trendy.
Right.
I think that's honestly what it is, and it's kind of, I don't want to say sad. It's kind of, I think it's bad that the government's just kind of like fallen into that pitfall. But at least they're doing something. At least they're showing that they maybe care. The thing with plastic and plastic pollution, especially like in the ocean, like 90% of that pollution comes from third world countries where they just don't have the infrastructure to get rid of rubbish. That's where the rubbish is coming from. So if you legitimately want to make a difference in terms of plastic pollution in this world, getting rid of plastic bags in New Zealand supermarkets is going to make jack all of a difference, honestly.
Right.
Like, I think Like, there's so much that will be better. Like, so much more money and effort. I guess it doesn't. No, it does cost money actually. Um, so much more money and effort that could be spent overseas building infrastructure for other countries. Um, that's really where the pollution's coming from. To be honest, I mean, because I've been there. I've been to Kolkata, and I've seen just like they don't have anywhere to put their rubbish, so they just throw it in the river because there's no system that they can use. I mean, or they have to pay. I don't know if they had to pay to use it or something. There must. I mean, I'm sure there's some rubbish system depending on where you are in the city, maybe. But there is a lot of rubbish there that's kind of weird, and it feels weird to see it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think that's the thing is that it's like okay, so with like plastic bags and that, right? Because it's the shopping bags, yeah, that they're trying to
yeah,
get rid of,
yeah,
which is fair enough. But like, I do agree with you on the point that it's not actually single use because I like me and my family like keep using them. You know what I mean? To
yeah.
like chuck stuff in them and like take plastic bags. I remember at my high school, no one had lunch boxes. We all just had plastic bags that would
Oh
chuck our
yeah, yeah,
lunch in. That was sort of what everyone did. So yeah, they do get used. I think where the problem lies is that in terms of with shopping and that like it does sort of make sense to try and phase them out because of the fact that when they do get thrown out, they just end up in the landfills or they end up in or they end up like not getting disposed of properly, end up going down a drain into the ocean and then and then pollute the ocean. And so then you've got that kind of thing, going on. So that is a major problem, you know, with it. And so I think though what one of the major things is that we'll get, we've gotten to a point in when it comes to climate change and when it comes to, the environment where we're like everyone sort of knows we need to do something, but no one's doing anything. And I think half the problem is it's like from a New Zealand perspective, it's like, oh well, we're such a small country, so we won't really make a difference. But that's what every country's doing. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, if we do anything, it won't really make a difference. So everyone's not doing anything, and it's just becoming worse.
yeah,
And that's like a huge problem.
yeah,
And I'm not gonna, like I do care about the environment and stuff, but I know for a fact I'm not doing enough to help it.
mhm, yeah,
But yeah, I think though it's a good start, and hopefully what it will do is it'll evolve to more environmentally friendly policies on that. Also, with the whole straw thing that you
yeah,
were going on about, most drinks don't even need a straw. So why put straws in there in the first place? You know what I mean? Like a lemonade or something. You
yeah.
don't need a straw. Why are we putting straws in it? You don't need a straw, people, alright? Why so many straws, people?
Okay, okay. I will debate you on this one. I think having straws is, if nothing, is a more elegant way to drink. It's more elegant, and it's kind of more cool, if you know what I mean. Like, there's definitely reasons and for people wanting to drink out of straws. I think it's an enjoyable thing, but they don't have to be plastic. But they also shouldn't be paper. Paper straws are the worst. Okay, I used to be a dishwasher at a cafe. People would leave their paper straws in their smoothie bottles, and had to fish them out, but they're all floppy and gross. It's just no good. If you want to have a cafe or a restaurant, use metal straws. They do exist. Like, you just wash them. It'd be so easy to
Ah,
reuse metal straws. I don't know why this isn't a common thing. I've seen it in like two places ever, but
huh.
I think straws are cool. Just get metal ones. Just do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because this place that I used to work for is like a super um like environmentally friendly and ethical kind of business. They get all their stuff ethically and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But they got sick of the paper straws. They started using plastic straws, and I was just like, what? I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because then you throw them out. Um, I think they just got sick of them soaking, right? But I think it would be worth them investing in metal
Yeah.
ones. and maybe having plastics just as a backup if you do run out. You know, because then you'd use significantly
Yeah,
less.
I've never heard of metal straws. That's really interesting. But I do still reckon 90% of drinks you don't need a straw.
Well, what about fast food? What about fast food? Because you have to contain your drinks in a thing so that you can take it away and it won't just slosh out.
Yeah,
You'd have to make the cup way taller and not fill it up all the way, so that you wouldn't spill your
yeah,
drink. And then also like it's so much more convenient to sip out of
that's
that
true.
than to drink like
I
normally.
suppose. Yeah.
Um. So hey,
I'm
checkmate,
I
man.
I'm to be
Yeah.
honest, I'm thinking.
Especially if you're
Yeah,
driving, if you're in a car, like, and you want to sip on
yeah,
a
yeah,
drink,
yeah.
full on gulping out of a cup is just it's actually a hazard because it will impair your vision as opposed to sipping. You don't have to take it above where your eye
Right.
line is. And then I guess the other I guess fast food can't do metal straws
Yeah.
because then you'd have to return them. But then hold on, sorry I'm still interrupting you. But the plastic ones that they put in fast food, at least at like McDonald's and stuff, are recyclable.
Oh, that's
It's
good.
just that they, oh, here we go on another rant. McDonald's packaging all has the recycle logo on it, right? You can recycle any of their packaging, but they don't have any recycling bins in their restaurants. It's all landfill rubbish bins. It's like, what is the point of all this recyclable? We're recyclably friendly or whatever, all this garbage. You don't provide some way for us to actually recycle
Yeah.
it. And like, if you wanted to recycle it properly, you'd have to clean it as well because you can't just like throw like a half like sticky used cup and expect it to be recycled. I don't know how tolerant they are. It depends on the on the recycling place, I guess. I don't know, but that's yeah, that's that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was thinking more with the straw issue, more in the context of being like at a restaurant and that. You know what I mean? Like a sit
Yeah,
down restaurant.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
sort of the like context that I was thinking of. Because like
right.
in that context, right? An alcoholic drink, right? Probably don't need a straw, alright? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
soft
That's a good
drink,
point. Yeah.
don't need a straw, right? You can drink that stuff with your mouth. Alright, well, I mean with a straw you are drinking it with you know what I mean? And then the one drink that sort of makes sense to
Yeah.
drink out of a straw is like a milkshake. Right? I'll concede that point. A milkshake should probably be drunk with a straw, right? Does that make sense? Anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I drink milkshakes at home all the time without
Ah,
straws because I have a milkshake maker at home. I just drink it out of the
ah,
cup. I don't think milkshake or Coke, I don't think it makes a difference. I don't know, in either case, you always drink faster without the straw. That's the difference that it makes. I don't know if that's what the restaurant wants you to do or not. I don't know. I feel like the restaurants would prefer you to drink faster so you order another drink.
yeah.
I
Or
don't know.
get out of there quicker, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
I know. It's a good point.
If you are in the chat and you have any thoughts on this whole straw debate, do we need straws? Sound off in the comments. We'd love to hear what you
Yeah.
think.
And we'll
And that goes for anyone listening live or listening after the fact on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or wherever you are. Comment on. I guess I don't know if you can comment on the Apple Podcast. Probably not, but you can comment on Facebook or Twitter, anywhere else that we exist. And we will read your comments.
yeah. So our next segment is called What You Doing? Anyway, um so this segment is called What You Doing. Like I said before, what we do is we talk about what we've seen, what we've read, what movies we're watching, what TV shows we're watching, anything that we're currently doing or want to talk about, and then we also talk about what we want to see or do, etc. Boom, that's the topic. All right.
Cool.
I'm going first. Um, so
Yep, good idea.
today, well, this week, I've actually been able to make some time to watch some stuff. Even though I've been very busy. Hang on just a second. My mum's trying to talk to me. Mom, I'm recording a podcast. I'm still going. God damn it.
Wow, that's one for the history books.
To be honest, I'm surprised that hasn't happened sooner.
Yeah.
One of us getting interrupted by someone walking in. I was the person more likely for it to happen to. I'm surprised it took 5 podcasts, to be honest. I thought it would happen in the first podcast. Anyway, okay, so what I've watched this week is I watched a movie called Fundamentals of Caring, which is a film that Ben mentioned on, I think, the first podcast. I finally got around to watching it, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It was just an interesting sort of like quirky film. I thought the main character was really interesting, and I liked him even though he was a bit of a dick. There's just something about the British accent, eh? I like the British accent. It's a good accent.
Yeah.
So I saw that film. I liked it. I don't think I like it as much as you like it, Ben. But no, it was good. It was really good. It was a good film, and I recommend for anyone to watch it. It's on Netflix, so you should check it out. The other thing that I watched recently was a TV show. Watched the entire first season of I think it was a 2015 show called Scream Queens. So it's like a comedy horror starring the likes of Emma Roberts, Ariana Grande, Nick Jonas is in it, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. In regards to like, okay, so it's like a comedy horror, right? So it's kind of like sort of making fun of the horror genre a little bit at the same time. So it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it's, like the best television I've ever watched. But I wouldn't say it's like the worst television I've ever watched either. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty good. It's like pretty good to all right.
So it's like somewhere in the middle, it's somewhere in between the best thing ever and the worst thing ever. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Well, that really narrows it down for me. It really gives me a good idea of the quality of the show.
Yeah, it's probably about a 5 out of 10 is what I'd give it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is that what you've been watching?
And that's so that's what I've watched. What I want to watch, still the same as it's been for a long time. Sons of Anarchy's been on my list for a while. As is Leaving Las Vegas. Those are sort of the major two that are sort of on my like watch list on Netflix. I'm not sure what else I want to watch. I've sort of been so like, bogged down with uni work that I really haven't had time to think. I'd probably say Sons of Anarchy and Leaving Las Vegas. But I'll probably end up watching other stuff that I'll find, and I'll watch that instead. Yeah. That's me done.
Cool. Yeah, well, I watched 3 movies this week, which is very rare for me. I usually don't watch that many movies, which is weird considering I'm a film student. I usually don't feel like I have the time. But this weekend there were a couple cheap rentals on iTunes, so I picked those up. The first one was High Fidelity, a movie that you recommended, Matt, and that you always talk about, because we always talk about it whenever we introduce top 5. I feel like the top 5 element was kind of not as big as a deal as I thought it was, considering how apparently our top 5 segment's inspired by this movie, where it's mostly only like a side thing. It's like not the main.
Yeah.
It's a part of it for sure, but it's not like it's not a movie about them making.
I apologize for overselling it. My bad. Whoops.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It's one of those movies where it's like if it came out today, like everyone would cringe. I think because like I don't think that kind of fourth wall breaking kind of movie where a person is talking to the camera the whole time or narrating it, not even just narrating it, but yeah, talking to the camera as well. I feel like that doesn't work in a more serious sense anymore. Um, or maybe it would if someone made a movie like that. I don't think there are any movies like that except for Deadpool. But Deadpool does it comedically and not as much. Man, the first movie was a little bit story wise, but it's mostly kind of just for comedic effect that they use it. They don't use it as much for like actually literally telling us the story and talking
Yeah.
to us like in a story manner. If
Right.
you know what I mean. So I think that's what I don't know. I enjoyed it, but it's not way up there for me. Yeah, and then the other one I watched was The Castle, which is a classic Australian
Hey.
comedy. Which yeah, everyone says that they recommend it because it's an Australian classic. Um, I can see why it is. It feels like the Hunt for the Wilder People of Australia. It feels like in that kind of vein, where it's not just a all out comedy, kind of like What We Do in the Shadows, or something like that, but it's also got a real legitimate story with some heart, at least. Um, yeah, and enjoyable, and I can see why it's such a popular one. Um, yeah, check it out. It's a good
Yeah.
time.
No, it's a good film.
And then literally a few hours ago, I finally got myself to go and see Johnny English Strikes Again.
Oh.
Um, yeah, this is a fun one. I mean, okay, when I say it was a fun one, it was like fun in some points in the
Right.
movie, but this one didn't nearly kind of make up, like it didn't nearly reach the heights that I thought the previous two films did.
Okay.
Um, in terms of, I felt it definitely relied too much on like modern kind of modern technology based gags. There were a lot of those ones in there. And there's always like when they do things like that, when they're talking about Wi-Fi signals and using cell phones. Anytime someone's using a cell phone in a movie, I'm just like, ugh. It never works because realistically, no one's gonna. Everyone always has access to someone's phone without a passcode, and that's one of the frustrating things. But that's just one minor thing. But there's a lot of that kind of tech related jokes that I don't think are really funny, and they're just like only in there because they think modern audiences will like that. But it's kind of like the old people who think they know what young people like.
Mm.
Then again, Johnny English isn't just for young people. I guess it's actually for an older generation as well. So they definitely are hitting their target audience, I think. Definitely. Um, One of the most annoying things about the film, though, was actually the editing, or not necessarily the editing, but the way it was cut, which I guess they had planned for. Maybe they didn't plan for it and they cut things out. But there were certain moments where it cut from one scene to the next, like one moment to the next, and it didn't make any sense how they got from here to there. Like they just did this gag. I'll just give an example because I think it was in the trailer where they're going to blow up this lifeboat thing, this inflatable raft, except he blows it up inside the car, and so their faces get squished to the wall of the car, and they can't reach the They can't reach the door handles,
Yeah.
which is sure that's funny. But then they're just like, I can't reach the door handle, and then it just cuts to them on the boat, and it's just like what, like, like they just made a funny joke for the sake of making a joke, but then they didn't have a way to get them out of that situation, and they just cut to them having somehow got out of the car, and now they're on the water with a boat that they also somehow got out of the car.
Mm.
Um, there were a few moments like that where it just cut really strangely in a way that just didn't feel right, and the pacing just didn't work at all for
Yeah.
me. And as an editor, I'd like to. I am kind of happy that I picked up on that because you usually think it's usually really hard to spot editing in a film because you're usually so kind of involved
Yeah.
in it. But when there is bad editing, or at least a bad sequence of events, whether that was an editing problem or a problem in the production, you do notice it when it's
Yeah.
bad. So you never notice it when it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
This the silent job really, but when it's bad, you notice, and that really bothered me. but it's all maybe I think it's one of those. It's definitely one of those things where I think the target audience that they're going for are not the type of people who would notice, and they just kind of are in for the laugh. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think Johnny English as a whole is a really underrated franchise. It's like I've always considered the first two films at least like genuinely great movies, really entertaining movies. Actually, I haven't seen the second one in a while, but at least the last time I saw the first one, like I was just like, it's not just a funny, fun movie. It's a good movie, and I was surprised when I looked online and saw like the Rotten Tomatoes scores and the average ratings were all like 4.8 out of 10,
Right.
and it was like 33. It was like 33%. Like both, in fact, all three movies have roughly got the same rating, which I was quite surprised about because I had always thought they were really good movies. And to see that the third movie has about the same score as the first two seems pretty outrageous to me, because the third movie is considerably worse, and I think everyone's probably saying this, considerably worse. But people were still giving it the same rating that they gave it the first two movies, which I thought was a bit of an injustice to those movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know why that's such a that's what the opinion is on that. I think the only other thing I would say about the third movie is that there was at least one key moment in the film that was exactly the same as a very key moment in the first film, and I was just like, you literally reused the same piece of plot. Like it's exactly the same thing, basically. No, it is literally the exact same piece of plot. Um, and they somehow, for some reason, that really stood out to me. I just wanted to point that out as well. But on the whole, I didn't really have a huge problem with the story. It was just the pacing and the gags didn't quite work for me. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. And that's all I've watched. Oh no, I did finish Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I've already talked about that a bit, so I don't really need to talk more about it. I enjoyed it. It's great. I'm glad that they didn't have a massive cliffhanger like they did in the last two seasons. They went back to their regular old middle of the range cliffhangers that they used to do. I like that. So that's good. I don't think I watched any other TV apart from I watched a couple more episodes of the IT Crowd just because that's what I'm going for in between having other TV shows to watch. So, yeah. Watch that show if you haven't. What are you doing with your life? Yeah, and I can't think of what I want to watch because I don't know what's out. Oh, I will actually. I saw a trailer for. Oh, I'll tell you about some trailers I saw. I saw a trailer yesterday for Coldplay: A Head Full of Dreams, which is their documentary that apparently they've been shooting for 20 years.
What?
I don't know if the intention was always to make a documentary, but apparently this guy's been filming them since the day they formed. Like, yeah, and they've just been filming this whole time. And they're finally putting it together. I guess they've probably been working on it for a long time in little pieces, and they're deciding to release it this year. It's coming out on Amazon Prime, and in some select theaters, I think, as well. It looks genuinely interesting because I guess I don't know that much about the band other than just listening to their music. And these kind of documentaries about bands, I've always found like you see them pop up in trailers and stuff, and they always look kind of cringy. But this one doesn't. It looks legit, like more aligned with like the Foo Fighters, what they did with their TV series. It shows. It looks to be like showing a bit of history, which is more than just an over dramatization of a couple of concerts, like you might see in the Justin Bieber one. I mean, I never watched the Justin Bieber. The only other one I did watch A Part of Me, the Katy Perry one,
Yeah,
which was kind of that one was interesting. I guess it was more that was history based as well, and I think well made. But maybe I'm just judging these Justin Bieber One Direction ones because they look really cringy and they're made within a couple years of that person becoming famous, as opposed to this 20-year one, which is part of the reason I'm so fascinated by it, is that they're finally putting this out and all this content that we've kind of not seen, this footage that we've not seen. I think it's going to be really interesting. And also, on the topic of trailers, and I'm so glad that I have been doing this, I've recently generally been avoiding any trailers online. I just don't bother watching them because I miss the old days of going into a theater and not knowing what the movie is of the trailer that you're watching. And it happened today when I saw Johnny English. I can't even remember what all of them were, but the one that I specifically remember was the Bumblebee trailer, because it first started and it was like, oh, it's Haley Steinfeld, from The Edge of 17, which I think was one of my honorable mentions. It's a really great movie. She's also in a Coen Brothers movie that I've forgotten the name of. True Grit, that's the one. She's the best part of that movie. I didn't like that movie very much. But yeah, anyway, I saw this trailer and I was like, oh, Haley Steinfeld, what's she doing? This looks cool. And then it turns out to be the Bumblebee trailer. I'm just like, ah. But to be honest, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess I should watch it before I judge it. But it doesn't, well, it also doesn't look incredible. So, But I really enjoyed the fact that I didn't know what that movie was. And then the other one that I saw was the more recent Crimes of Grindelwald trailer, which I really enjoyed seeing in the theater, because I just hate the fact that everyone watches trailers online, and then you go to the theater, you see the first 5 seconds of a trailer, and you know what movie it's for because you've already seen the trailer, and then everyone's just talking and on their phones and stuff, which I reckon ruins that experience for me, and I've held that off. The only trailers I watch now are the ones I'm actually like, I can't contain myself, which is like the Marvel ones. Otherwise, I won't bother watching a trailer. I just don't feel I need to. And I'm glad I've been holding that off, because I really enjoyed seeing those trailers for the first time in a theater, as they are designed to be, to be watched, I think. Yeah. And speaking of Crimes of Grindelwald, yeah, I'm excited to see that movie as well. It looks good. I think it'll be good.
Cool.
And we're coming along to the last section, is the Crunchy Comments section. And this is the section where we read your comments. So, like we mentioned before, if you wanna comment anywhere, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Patreon, which we also have, if you're on YouTube, anywhere you can possibly comment, we will see it. We will have a look at them and we'll read your comments here in the Crunchy Comment section. And if you want to watch live on Twitch, we stream these podcasts every week, usually on a Saturday morning. Today is a Sunday afternoon because we're busy. Next week will also be a Sunday, probably a Sunday morning. So yeah, this is New Zealand Standard Time, by the way. Join on Twitch, because you can comment on the live Twitch. And today we had 2 lovely listeners listening in and commenting. So I'll read out a couple of their comments, because we haven't had any other comments from the YouTube or anything, as far as I'm aware. But the first comment from Bamat247 is, I support Tash with all my heart. And I'm sure he really appreciates that. And if you want to support Tash, and if you support Tash as much as Bamat247 does, you should donate to Patreon, because if we get 500 patrons on Patreon, Tash will come on the podcast, something that he's terribly afraid of doing. So even if you have to make 500 different accounts and just subscribe to us and give $1 on each account, do it. And of course, every dollar that is spent on Patreon will not go towards Tash's vegetable supply. It will go towards us having microphones to actually do a proper podcast, and recording equipment and all that kind of stuff that we need to do this properly. Because if you don't know, at the moment, we're not even in the same room. We're actually just doing this via Discord, which is why it kind of sounds awkward and we have technical difficulties all the time.
Yeah.
So the real aim is to get the money to get the proper equipment and the proper setup so we can actually do this properly. And of course, we don't have any money at the moment to do that. So any donation will go towards that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so another comment from Bamat247. I'm going to stop saying his username because his name's Jerome. He did say that on the chat.
Thanks for supporting us, Jerome. Love you.
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting us. Everyone who's listening right now, who's heard about us from school or from somewhere else online, thank you so much. It means a lot. And please comment, because we wanna hear you guys talk to us as well. So Jerome said Nintendo 64 had the best Mario Brothers games. I can't disagree with you because I've never played them. But have you played? I want to know if you've played the SNES games, because I would just go to the death on anyone who says that those aren't at least great games. Yeah, I just never had an N64 or a GameCube or anything, so I never had
neither.
those games. But I think Nintendo 64, I think they were sort of more 3D ones. I don't know if they were the third person games. There was some third person games, not Galaxy. Mario 64, I thought. Anyway, I could be wrong. But I was never as interested in the third person ones anyway. He also says 007 GoldenEye was top, so that's one of his good old N64 games. I have heard good things about that game, actually. I think, yeah. If I ever had an N64, I'm sure I would have played some Super Mario, but it was never the thing that we had, because we never had the money to, or in our family at least, we never bought a modern gaming console. We had the SNES that we can't remember if it was a family donation or we inherited it or something. We got it from somewhere, because obviously this was around the late 90s, early 2000s that we had it and we're using it, not back in the 80s and 90s when it was actually made. Yeah, and then also we had a PlayStation 1 which we bought in like 2007 or something like that for a couple of bucks from someone at school that my brother got it from. And that's why all the games I've played are old ones. And Jerome also gave us his top 5 games. His number 5 is Call of Duty Black Ops, but only for zombies. I'd have to agree with that sentiment. That's the one thing I do enjoy about COD is the zombies mode, although I suck really bad at it.
Same.
That's the most enjoyable game mode for me. Forza Horizon 2, he says, GTA 5, Counter-Strike Go, and then DMC 4. Yeah, funny about that he's got 2 of our picks, GTA 5 and Counter-Strike Go on there. And COD, you mentioned COD as well.
Yeah.
So, cool. Good to see you guys listing these off. He also really likes my Need for Speed pick. He said, Need for Speed is a good game, but I believe Forza beats it just with the physics that make it more complicated. I think I've played Forza once on a friend's like PS2 or something. And while I'm sure it's a great racing game, Need for Speed is not just about the racing. It's also about the story and the customizing, and maybe there is customizing Forza, but that's the thing. Forza's a lot. I guess it's more realistic, which for me is not the reason I enjoyed Need for Speed. I guess I enjoyed Need for Speed for the thrill, and it felt more arcadey, I think, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's in the world where you're street racing, which is obviously something that at least I'd personally never do in real life. So for me, it feels more like a fantasy. It doesn't feel like it's meant to be realistic to me. Because in Most Wanted, you're literally killing cops. Like, you're just smashing people up. Like, that's definitely a sort of, I guess, not... It doesn't have to be realistic, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I don't doubt that Forza is a great game, but the thrill of Need for Speed and the fun you have creating your own cars and that sort of thing, that's what makes it more fun for me, I think. And, yeah, that's all Jerome said. And then our other lovely regular listener, KKN Malone, chimed in on the plastic bag thing. He mentioned the fact that, he said apparently you have to use one of those fabric plastic bags 7,100 times for it to be better for the environment than a single plastic bag.
Huh.
That is the point I was trying to make, but couldn't remember the exact details on.
Right.
Yeah. So economically and environmentally, single-use plastic bags are actually more friendly.
That's interesting.
Than the fabric ones. So that's like exactly what I was saying about how it's not well enough researched by these people. The people that make these decisions, they're only doing it because it's a trend and because people on the internet are asking for it. And that's sadly just the way that the world is run these days. Half the decisions you see happening in the world are honestly because the internet outcried or something. Or even if it was a small minority, you see stuff like this on the internet happening all the time. Yeah. Look, we don't research these things that well before we talk about them.
No, we don't. And we don't. It should also be stated that we don't claim to be experts on anything that we talk to.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Um,
not.
we're
Yeah.
just, we're just two guys just talking about stuff over the internet. So, you know.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right.
And yeah, and that was all the crunchy comments for today. Oh, here we go. Oh, Kaki Malone's just said, costs much more to transport. Here we go. Transport the fabric bags. As in to distribute them? Like, yeah, I don't know exactly what he means by transport.
Interesting.
But yeah, a good point. But thank you so much, guys, for listening live and chiming in. And thank you to everyone else who's listening after the fact to the edited version of this podcast. If you don't want to hear it edited, and if you want to hear the lovely, awkward situations that we get into, listen live on Twitch. But other than that, I've been Ben.
I've been Matt, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.